troublemaker. I've been a late-night player. I've been broke as a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker. Taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Enough jumps, the middle finger make my...
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio on this March 24th, 2016.
Yeah, it's a kind of a not bad day.
It's been 2016 for a little while. Why am I surprised still? Yeah. I want it to be warmer.
Well, yesterday was almost 60, 65,
but there's still a little bit of a chill. I look at the forecast and I see the temperatures and I go outside and I say it should be warmer than this.
Yeah, they're supposed to have rain late tonight into tomorrow.
Right.
And then the weekend's supposed to be beautiful though.
Yeah, well, that's good Easter weekend, so
yes.
That'll be nice. We are, of course, in the Comcast Cable Channel 23 studios, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, and that is the voice of my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr.
Yes, it is, Scott.
How are you doing there, Bob?
I'm good.
I see the whole family's here again.
Yeah, well, we have to go to have taxes done tonight, so that's the first time I have new dependents.
That's true. This is a whole new tax bracket for you.
Yes.
Deductibles. There you go. All right. Well, we see those deductibles in the other room.
Yes. All three of them.
And the boss is here.
Yes.
She gave me a little notice I have to read.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second, but let's just first mention Bob's show. Of course, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Our director, Mr. Mike Toohey, is in there running things. Expose Cinema, his show, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. The Met Maniac, Mike McFadden, is here. No signs of Strange Man. And just before the show, I mentioned to the Met Maniac, is it a coincidence that every time the Bruins go on a little bit of a slide, we lose track of the Strange Man?
And when they go into like that, deficit, he goes...
There's the phone number, 203-792-4101. Maybe he's going to call in and tell us he's on the ledge again.
Yeah.
Because they are holding on to their playoff lives all of a sudden.
What happened today? I mean, the Red Sox beat the Mets, even though it's spring training.
Red Sox did beat the Mets, 4-1, yes. Why did SNY not have that game?
I told you, it was probably on FS1.
FS1, like I'm going to look around for FS1? I don't know where that channel is.
It's in the high numbers, in the 260s or something.
I got home from work a little bit early. I was going to go over my notes and get ready for the show, and I wanted to watch the last couple innings. I put on SNY. They got the split squad game against Houston.
Yeah.
Who cares about the Astros? All right, we got a couple things to mention. Let's go right to the thing here that your wife gave me. Okay. The Morris Street School Girl Scout Troop 50218 are trying to help our local homeless. Yeah. So that's a good thing that they're doing that.
Veterans.
Oh, the homeless veterans. Yes. Let me finish the sentence. Yeah. So that's good that they're doing that. And what they are looking for are the following items: twin beddings, pillows and pillowcases, blankets of any kind, food items, toiletries, no mouthwash.
Yeah, because they're afraid of, some guys may have
yes. Right. So again, Morris Street School Girl Scout Troop 50218 are looking to help out the homeless veterans in the area. Twin beddings, pillows and pillowcases, blankets, food items, toiletries, no mouthwash. For more information, you can call Jolene Fako Brought at 860-946-7275. 860-946-7275. So help out the Morris Street School Girl Scout Troop. Help out our local homeless veterans. That's a nice thing that they're doing.
Yes.
So we're happy to pass along that message. What do you got, Bob? Westerners stuff?
Westerners got the announcement of George Foster.
Right. And for the
June
big
10th.
Celebrity breakfast, kickoff to the season, June 10th.
June 10th.
Back at the Amber Room.
Yeah.
Very nice that they went back there.
And also June 10th is the home game against Mystic.
Right. When's the chili thing coming up? That's got to be.
That's this week. That's next weekend, the 3rd.
All right. And
April
where
3rd.
is that?
It's going to be at the Dome.
It's at the Dome.
At the Sports Dome.
Okay. So.
And Dave King will be there performing.
Really?
Yes.
Dave King. Nice. We like Dave King. That's a good deal.
Let's see, what else? We're selling Easter flowers at the Firehouse this weekend.
At the Firehouse.
Yes,
Okay.
Mill
What
Plain.
day are you doing that?
It's tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and
Weren't you guys down like on Mill Plain Road last year, or were you?
We have it every year at the Firehouse.
Okay.
You know, it's like 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday, and then like 9 to 11 on Sunday.
Probably some good flowers. Saturday, so if I'm out and about doing some things, I could stop by there and pick
Yes.
up some nice flowers?
Yep, flowers, crosses, and other items as well.
Okay. So you can do that if you're out looking around. I'm sure you guys got a nice collection of flowers going on there.
And then we have the fire and police game Saturday night. Saturday afternoon.
This weekend?
This weekend.
Easter weekend.
Easter weekend, Saturday night at 3 o'clock.
Whoa. At the Danbury Ice Arena? 3 o'clock?
And then afterward, they're having first responder night for all the first responders as well at the Titan versus Bulldogs.
Titans are a little bit hot right now, aren't
Yeah.
they? We have ignored the Titans
Yeah.
this year. And that's all we're going to say about that.
Yeah.
They're not the Whalers, we'll say that much. All right, speaking of firefighters,
yes.
we also are going to plug the Play for Purpose event coming up April 28th to May 1st. And there we see the Fairfield County Firefighters hockey game Saturday, April 30th. That date rings a bell. What is that date?
April
30th. Oh,
30th.
that would be my birthday.
Oh, that's your birthday.
Yes, it is. Puck drops at 4 p.m.
So you can go out and drop the puck.
At the maybe at the Winter Garden Ice Arena. I was there last weekend picking up the kid Caden. We enjoyed a day with him, and he was at the open skate at the Winter Garden Ice Arena in Ridgefield. They have that every weekend, Sundays all afternoon. Open skate there. So if you want to go skate, you can do that. And there we see the flyer for the whole thing. It runs April 28th through May 1st. So right through my birthday weekend, playforpurpose.org. Look into it. We'll be getting more information as we get closer. Maybe we'll get Caden's mom on here again to tell us what's going on, the special events happening as they get all that stuff ready to go. And maybe we'll get Caden. He called once already, but maybe we'll get him to come into studio like he did last year.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. All right, let's get to some college basketball, Bob, because March Madness is in full swing. Sweet 16.
Yes, it is.
Mere 30 minutes away from tipping off tonight. We got some good games going on. Miami versus Villanova in the South bracket starts things off. In the West bracket, Texas A&M versus Oklahoma, a nice old rematch or rivalry from the old Big 12 days, really, because we know Texas A&M, with all this conference shakeup, is now an SEC team, and they're looking to go back into their Big 12 and knock Oklahoma and Buddy Hield out. They're a 3 seed going up against a 2 seed, same as that Miami Villanova, 3 seed versus a 2 seed. Of course, it's the 10-year anniversary of Jim Larrañaga leading George Mason into the Final Four, and Jim Larrañaga now is the head coach at Miami, and he's doing a hell of a job. And they are in Villanova, who a lot of times chokes in these big tournaments. They have looked pretty good so far. The other games tonight, Maryland versus Kansas. Kansas, the number 1 overall seed. They took out our UConn Huskies.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Not surprising, though.
No.
But we'll get to that a little bit more. And then also tonight, Duke versus Oregon.
Well, we didn't think Duke was. I didn't think Duke and Yale was going to be much of a game, but.
Bob, how did Duke end up being a 4 seed to begin with 10 losses on the year? And then they get the soft landing. They put them in the weakest bracket in the Western Conference. And then who do they got to play? Yale and UNC Wilmington.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. These matchups. Tomorrow night in the Sweet 16 games, Iowa State versus Virginia. Why did Virginia get to be a number 1 seed? They didn't win their regular season or their conference tournament. 7 losses. They ended up being a number 1 seed. They're playing well. And they caught a break with Michigan State going down.
Yeah.
But they get Iowa State in the early game. The other early game tomorrow night, Wisconsin, surging Wisconsin. What a finish to that game the other night. Huge three-pointer at the buzzer. And he hit a three-pointer to tie the game with like 30 seconds left. And, crazy finish there against Xavier.
How's your bracket overall?
It's okay. I'll get to that in a second. They're playing Notre Dame, who got the tip-in at the buzzer.
Yeah.
Whew, broke the hearts. They did of Stephen F. Austin on the offensive rebound. Oh, that was brutal. Gonzaga also plays another team that should not have been in the tournament, Syracuse, but they caught the luck of the draw.
Yeah, Orangemen finally figure out a way of.
Well, I mean, Jim Boeheim cried up a storm, and they got 13 losses on the year. Why did they get in over a team like Monmouth or San Diego State, which won their division?
Right.
These teams get left out for winning. And Syracuse, why did Syracuse not get a postseason ban to begin with? And then they get rewarded for losing the games that he was suspended, and the committee says, well, they played better after the coach came back. Who cares? The program was a joke.
Yeah.
They should have been banned from postseason play, and yet they weren't, and then they're rewarded for playing poorly while the coach is suspended.
Yeah.
Where's the logic in that?
There is no logic. That's why it's
unreal. So they Syracuse beats Dayton, and then they get Middle Tennessee, and we'll get to that in a second. Their shocking upset. And the other game tomorrow night, Indiana versus North Carolina. Back to the Duke thing, Bob. So I mentioned, who does Duke get to play? UNC, Wilmington, and Yale, right? Yeah. Indiana wins the Big Ten outright this year, regular season, arguably the best conference in the land.
Right.
What is their reward for that? We mentioned who Duke played. Who did Indiana get to play in the second round? Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, do people think no one's paying attention to these sort of seedings and matchups that the committee does? I mean, I said it last year. Duke won the championship. It was the easiest run to the title ever. Meanwhile, Wisconsin had to go through every top team, Arizona, Kentucky undefeated, all those teams to get to the championship game, where Duke was well rested because they had cupcakes the whole way coming out of that Western bracket, which they put them in again this year. And they got Oregon tonight. I have no faith in Oregon knocking them off, but we'll find out.
Happen. I mean, there's been some upsets, so anything could happen.
The ACC overall has 6 teams in the Sweet 16. Of course, some of those teams are really Big East teams.
Right.
Your Notre Dames and your Syracuses and your Miamis of the world.
Maybe I wouldn't mind seeing the Irish make, a good run for it.
Well, I mean, they got a nice team, and that was a thrilling game as they came back against the buzzer and just ripped the heart out of Stephen F. Austin, who did great. All right, let's get some of the upsets. And actually, I will mention Big 12 has 3 teams in. Big 10 has 3 teams in. Big East has just the Villanova. Pac-12 has 1 team. How about the Pac-12? They sent 7 teams to the tournament for some reason. 6 of them lost in the opening weekend. A lot of them went down in the round 1. Let's look at some of the upsets, Bob. The upset of all upsets. Some people saying this is the biggest upset of all because Michigan State, in this year where there was not a perennial powerhouse, Michigan State and Kansas were probably the 2 teams that most people picked the most. And in the first round, they led wire to wire in this game, Bob. Middle Tennessee beats Michigan State 90-81. That was a shocker in round 1. I had Michigan State going to the championship game. Yeah. That's my one big blow. I have 3 out of the 4 other teams in the Final Four, including Indiana, Kansas, and Texas A&M. I still have Miami and Virginia alive as well. Cincinnati let me down, Bob. And maybe it was because of the officiating in that game. Did you see the end of their game against St. Joe's?
I did. It was not pretty.
St. Joe's scores with 7 seconds left. Cincinnati comes down, and they go for the tie. Guy drives the lane, makes a great scoop pass underneath to the other man open underneath, and he goes up for the dunk.
Yeah.
And you see it right there. The dunk occurs, Bob. Now, I personally think this should have counted. That ball was going in the basket as the buzzer goes off. Of course, they go super slow-mo, and you can see that his hand is still touching the ball when the light goes up. But the ball is also in the cylinder halfway down into the net.
Right.
I think it's just a matter of that's the way you dunk the ball.
Yeah.
Your hand goes in the rim as well.
Yeah.
The ball is in the rim.
You know, when you're going up for that
you
shot.
know, not that I was ever able to dunk a basketball on regulation. Give me an 8.5, 9-foot hoop. I could probably do some things, Bob, but still.
Hey, I did a little dunking here and there.
The 7-footer.
Yeah.
Well, I would think. Could you dunk in your prime, Bob?
I could dunk in my prime.
Nice. That must have felt good.
Oh yeah. I can't get my ass out the. I can't.
Watch it. It's a family show, Bob.
I can't get it up to a par where I used to be.
Right.
My back isn't like it used to.
Right.
My jumping's.
Other upsets that took place, number 14, and I should mention Middle Tennessee was a number 15 over a number 2. Number 14 knocked off a number 3, saving at Boston. I tell you, they beat West Virginia. Early in the second half of that game, it was clear. There was no way West Virginia was coming back. Stephen F. Austin played tremendous. And like I said, they played great against Notre Dame. Unfortunately, they couldn't come up with it. Number 12, Arkansas Little Rock. This game was tremendous. Double overtime. They beat Purdue, number 5 seed. They were down, and they came back. They erased like a 12, 14-point deficit in the last 2 minutes or so as Purdue crumbled. And they just hit shot after shot after shot. Yeah. Your man Derek Fisher was in the crowd, former Arkansas Little Rock alumni.
Really?
Of course, he's got plenty of time on his hands now as he's out of work, no longer coaching those bricks in New York City. Another upset, Hawaii knocked off Cal. That was a 13 versus a 4. Hawaii 77-66. Wichita State, which I wouldn't necessarily call that big of an upset against, except it did happen against Arizona. Bad draw for Arizona. Number 6 versus number 11. But Wichita State handled them 65-55. How about the big time upset? Number 12, Yale knocked off Baylor. Bob, Yale hadn't been in the postseason since what, 1962? Yeah?
Yes, it was. That was a good game to watch.
79-75. They did it. I did watch a good part of that game. Number 12 versus number 5.
First time they've gotten that far in their, I think, in the school's career.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. And number 11, Northern Iowa, had a great game. And this was another buzzer beater shot. 3-point, more than half court. Not quite as long as the big, huge buzzer beater UConn hit in the AAC tournament. But Northern Iowa, 75-72 over number 6, Shaka Smart in Texas. They knocked them off. And another one that was okay, VCU, number 10 over number 7, Oregon State, 75-67. All right, the buzzer beaters, we mentioned some of them already. This one, not good for the AAC. Cincinnati had that crushing defeat at the buzzer against St. Joe's.
Yeah.
How about the Iowa-Temple game in overtime, Bob?
Yeah.
Clear, 2 hands to the back of the Temple player on a missed shot by Iowa, and they move the guy out of the way. The Iowa player gets the offensive rebound, put back at the buzzer to beat Temple. Brutal non-call in that game and rough way for Temple to go out. We mentioned the St. Joe's Cincinnati dunk, no count on the dunk, 78-76 St. Joe's. The Northern Iowa half-court shot. Providence, how about Providence knocking off USC on this sweet inbounds play underneath the basket for the layup and the win. Notre Dame, we mentioned there, ripping the heart out of Stephen F. Austin with the rebound, tip-in, putback, 76-75 in round 2. That one was. The Wisconsin one was crazy because he hit a 3. Xavier came down, retook the lead, and then he comes back down and hits the corner 3. Just goes nuts. Bill Murray, another alumni of Xavier, was there. He was not happy at the end of that game. Texas A&M, not necessarily a buzzer beater, but this was a double overtime game. How about this, Bob? They were down by 14 points with just over 40 seconds to play against Northern Iowa, and they came back and forced overtime.
Wow.
Unreal. And I have them in the Final Four, so I was happy about that. Sad for Northern Iowa, who played tremendous, really. But just, I don't know, how does that happen? A 14-point deficit in 14 seconds.
With that much change?
I mean, Texas A&M plays that, high-energy, full-court press, and they got some turnovers. They made some shots, missed free throws, the whole bit. Next thing you know, they're going double overtime, and they win. All right, some other things I wanted to mention. You know, he talked about Duke and their soft landing, which is a total joke. Syracuse in the 13 losses, and they get the lucky draw because, you know, they drew Dayton in the opening round, which is a tough team. Right. So they did pound them handily, really, 70-51. But they did get the luck of the draw getting Middle Tennessee, the upset special over Michigan State. So all of a sudden now they get to play Gonzaga. And Gonzaga, you know, maybe this year Gonzaga comes in as an 11 seed with no pressure, flying under the radar. And it's not your Beatus, it's not my Beatus, it's our Beatus Sabonis' son leading the way for Gonzaga. And he is playing tremendous. And Gonzaga really, they put it to sea in Hall 68-52, and they crushed Utah 82-59. I am looking for them to get rid of Boeheim and Syracuse. That would be sweet. And then, you know, Virginia with some blowout victories. They look very good. They crushed Butler. They really pounded Hampton. And you got to just say, the last 2 years in a row, they were knocked out by Michigan State, and everybody thought they were in the same bracket this time around, and it was going to happen again. But no, they did not. They will not have to do that. So that could fare well for them as well. Notre Dame, we mentioned their buzzer beater, but also how about the win over Michigan? That was a big win. How about Indiana? They get North Carolina coming up here, but they handled Kentucky 73-67, so they look pretty good. And I mentioned Villanova's had some blowouts, so they're looking pretty good, but they're going to go up against a much tougher, well-rounded team in Miami. And we mentioned that 10-year anniversary of Larinaga. So there's some good things going on. All right, let's get to UConn. First half against the Trust Fundalos, and that would have been devastating if they lost to one of my arch rival college sporting teams. You know I love Colorado State, and their big rival is Colorado. And then all of a sudden I see in the bracket UConn has to play Colorado. First time ever in the team's history.
And you were thinking, oh, what do I do now?
I was thinking, I don't trust this UConn team, and it's going to be a real bummer for me. And I had to work. And I'm listening to that game on the radio while working because it was an early Thursday afternoon game, and they were playing terribly in the first half, and my worst fears were coming true. But then, huge second half, they did rally to get by Colorado and win that game. And then they were no match for Kansas at all. I'll tell you, Bob, if you give up a 16-0 run and a 17-0 run all in the first half, I don't think you're going to win very many games if you do that. Surprisingly, they only lost by 12, as they did play reasonably well in the second half. As you know, they go from telling me we got 10 minutes to 5 minutes. That was only 1 minute in between those two things. Who's slipping up?
5 minutes, right?
Unbelievable. So
I forgot to give me a 10-minute.
They did have that huge buzzer beater, which we saw. Tui put up those pictures. Maybe he got those again against Cincinnati as they ran the gamut in the AAC tournament. What did that go? Quadruple overtime against Cincinnati? That was crazy. Jalen Adams hits the 62-foot shot to force triple overtime. That was in the second OT, and then they ended up going a fourth overtime, and they pulled it out. But overall, not good for AAC because Tulsa lost in the first four against Michigan, so they were done. All right, let's quit because we got a couple of things to get to before we're out of here. That's it for college basketball. NBA, Celtics thankfully have won 3 in a row after losing 4 in a row when Jay Crowder went down with injury. But things are tight, Bob. They are 42-30, tied with Atlanta for the 3rd seed. But the 3 through 6 seeds right now all have 30 losses. So in the loss column, they're tied with 4 teams. So the Hawks, Celtics, Miami Heat, and King Kemba, Cardiac Kemba, Charlotte Hornets have moved all the way up there and are now also tied with that spot with 30 losses. How about that, Bob? Kemba and the Hornets. And it was also in this particular game I'm going to reference, Linsanity. Jeremy Lin has been going nuts. They came down from 20-something points to beat the Spurs, Bob. fresh off the heels of the Spurs beating the Warriors.
Yeah.
So big, huge win. They also did it against the Bulls, coming back from 15 down. So they are playing great, 8-2 in their last 10. Behind them is Detroit and the Bulls, both with 34 losses, and Indiana with 33 losses. Wizards at 36 losses. So some things real tight in the East. Celtics cannot slip up. There's 12, 11 games left, depending on the team. Some teams have 10 games left. The Spurs, I mentioned, they did beat the Warriors, big win, but the Warriors still 64-7, Bob.
Still the best record, right?
They are still in red-hot pursuit of that Bulls' best record. I do believe they will get it. NHL, I'm hoping that the Bruins can do what the Celtics did after losing 4 straight, because the Bruins are now riding a 4-game losing streak. Maybe they can turn around like the Celtics and get a winning streak going, because they are suddenly in a tight spot. Third in the Atlantic at 86 points. Tampa Bay and Florida ahead of them at 89 after that 5-2 loss against the Rangers last night. What was with the officiating in that game last night, Bob? And what is with these Sally Mary reviews? That's the best way I can say it. They score a goal to tie it at 1-1, and then we go to the replay to see if there was an offside like 10 minutes before the play happened.
Yeah.
What is that nonsense? The ref was standing right there. He didn't call the offside. Play continues, and then they go back 10 minutes later, and they're like, well, there was an offside, so that goal doesn't count. That is nonsense, Bob. Right. What kind of game are they playing in the NHL? Your Rangers are second in the Metro at 92. They got a little bit of a cushion now, 4 points over second-place Penguins. And much like the Bruins, the Islanders are all of a sudden in a little bit of a tight spot at 87 points. They had a much-needed win last night, but the Flyers right behind them at 83 points for that 8th seed, and Detroit at 83 points as well. So there's 3 teams
they
there.
Just fell off the season.
Flyers and Detroit looking to, one of those 2 teams is right now out. One is trying to get back in, and the Islanders and the Bruins are the 2 teams closest to them. So things all of a sudden tight in the NHL. So that's that. We did mention the Red Sox beat the Mets. Red Sox are 10-13 in spring trading. We got 10, 11 days till opening day?
Opening day, yeah.
And your Mets at 7-12, Bob. Not looking great, but it is only spring training. The Yankees at 9-10. How about this? Toronto, Washington, Philadelphia, and Detroit, teams with 14 wins in this spring training. How about Arizona, Bob? 18-4 in spring training. What is going on with the Diamondbacks? Cubbies, the team to beat, they are still coming in at 7-14.
Well, wish everybody a happy
Easter. Go down to the firehouse this weekend, get your flowers. Again, Morris Street School Girl Scout Troop. They're looking to help the homeless veterans. Call Jolene Faco Brought 860-946-7275 to find out more information, and donate some stuff to them, and it'll go to a very good cause, and those young girls will be happy to be helping out, so you'll be helping them. All right, that's it. Happy Easter, everybody, and happy Good Friday.
Yeah, you too.
All right.